Hey guys, this is IrieStarcraft and I'm back to cast another game for you. This one is going to be a 2 versus 2 and it will be on Discord 4. And it's going to be between Ash, the red Zerg player, and FlareStar, the blue Protoss player, and their opponents will be Crybaby, the teal Zerg, and Matamata, the purple Protoss. So will be another mirror matchup of ZP. And I love, when I'm Protoss, I love playing with a good Zerg partner. It is my favorite thing in the world. Because that usually means I don't have to spend the entire early game trying desperately to keep my probes alive. So I'm always a big fan of that. And what I'm not usually a big fan of is this map. And by usually I mean I'm always not a big fan of this map. It's just, it's something about, it's definitely not a good rush map, obviously. Because of the huge rush distance, not only is it a long distance to go across the whole map, but also the way the ramp is oriented, it's even longer. And then on top of that, it's really hard to take and hold any expansions. So this is a really odd map that it definitely favors plays, you know, like Phoenix play is strong on this map. Any kind of air play is very strong on this map. One base air play type of thing. And so, you know, I'm more of a fan, if it's going to be a macro map, I'm definitely more of a fan of having expansions that are a little bit easier to manage. As whoever doesn't get this base on your team is usually, you know, really screwed for a while trying to get a base. And so what sometimes you'll see people do is try and sneak some of these side bases up in here. You'll see people try and get sneaky ones or try and go for this one first because you just don't expect it. And it's not scouted as often. But yeah, so that also means that any smart player on this map will be sending scouts to all of the resources pretty early, because a lot of times people will take a sneak expansion and you just won't realize it because this one, if somebody takes this base, you usually expect that your other partner is going one base Muta or one base Void Rays or something like that in this type of matchup. Either way, so far it looks to be a pretty standard opening from both players. There's only one gas on both Protoss players, so that usually that means that it probably will not be an early Phoenix play or anything like that. So we'll see. However, as a second hatchery and second in-base hatchery is going down for Crybaby. That's very interesting. Very interesting play there. As on this map, if you're going to go for the fast hatch on Zerg, I definitely would suggest taking this one. So it is pretty wide open. But again, the distance from the other side of the map makes it pretty defendable. It's just that after that, you know, the bases are much more difficult to defend. So anyway, while we're sort of waiting for this game to get rolling here, are there any proxy pylons being thrown down? I don't think so. It looks like Ash has now secured these watchtowers here with his Zerglings. And, ooh! Okay, matamata is throwing down a proxy pylon, but it is over in this corner. It's not to be able to warp in anything on the high ground, that is. It's just trying to be hidden there. So we'll see. He's probably going to be going maybe for a Dark Templars. I'm not so sure. No, it looks like he is going to be going for a 4-gate and going to be warping in units down here to try and be aggressive early. Meanwhile, Ash is trying to take this expansion now. And I don't expect that this pylon will get scouted anytime soon. I did notice a Baneling's nest, by the way, that it just finished for Crybaby. So, pretty interesting there. And Banelings, obviously, just rock Zerglings, so there's nothing I like seeing better than Banelings blowing up on Zerglings, even if they're Ash's Zerglings. As many of you know, Ash, thank you again so much for doing the artwork on my homepage with Jim Raynor smoking the blunt. And you guys probably all noticed that over there on the left side. That is courtesy of Ash. Thank you, man. And now we are going to have an engagement here in the middle of the map. Zerglings from Ash are actually going to be forced to pull back as these stalkers being warped in over at this pylon has been revealed, and now Ash sees it with his overlord anyway. And at the same time, you see FlareStar is researching that blink technology, and that is definitely going to give him an edge in the Stalker on Stalker war. And oh man, it is going to come down to your typical ZP early pressure type of game where the Stalkers have to be able to take out the Banelings without getting killed too quickly. The Blink still apparently has not finished for FlareStar, and here comes the major battle. Banelings blowing up on quite a bit of Ash's Zerglings. However, he did split them fairly well, and now Baneling is desperately trying to chase down these Zerglings. Looks like Ash will be able to run around the back. Meanwhile, the Protoss player is going head-to-head, but Crybaby still has a bunch of Zerglings up in the front, and they're really picking off FlareStar's Stalkers very quickly there. And Blink, oh man, Blink just finishing now for FlareStar. That is about 20 seconds too late as when he needed it, but Ash was able to get some extra Zerglings out, and it looks like the top team is going to be forced to fall back here. However, more Zerglings are on the way now from Crybaby. And the last of those Stalkers are getting picked off, and I think that the bottom team now is going to be trying to go after that proxy pylon as soon as they possibly can. A nice blink right there from FlareStar. So key when you get to have that blink when you get surrounded by the Zerglings. So, oh, and some sneaky Banelings coming out of nowhere, blowing up about half of Ash's Zerglings, maybe even more right there. So a nice job. There's no better feeling in the world than when your Banelings blow up a giant ball of Zerglings. Ash will be able to get us surrounded, looks like, on a couple of Stalkers here and take those out. Meanwhile, FlareStar continuing to push, pumping those Stalkers out, and there goes the proxy pylon, and the map control definitely belonging to the bottom team now. And there's something to note, you guys, as I guess we'll have just a second here, is the base that Ash has down here. He's actually not mining it. A little bit of a misplay there. But when you're Zerg player and you go for the fast hatchery in these team games, you don't necessarily have to try and you don't have to try and mine it up all the way. You can just use it as a macro hatchery. I'm doing air quotes as I say that, macro hatchery. That's what these guys call it when you're just using an extra hatchery to produce units, not really to mine with. And then when you need, when you get a lull in the action, when you take advantage of the map control, that's when you can start worrying about filling it up with drones. As you see, that is what Ash is doing right now. So if you grab this early hatchery and you're not sure what your other team is necessarily up to, don't keep spamming drones and filling it up and then finding yourself screwed because you don't have enough units. First build up your army, and then you always have this hatchery already set up for when it's safe to go ahead and drone, if that makes sense. I'm no Zerg expert, but hopefully you guys understand what I'm going to. So for you Zerg players out there, don't always need to fill up your hatcheries mining right off the bat, as it looks like the top team is going to be making a massive push here now, and it's going to come down to whether these Banelings can get into the Zerglings or not. But those Banelings are way behind. This attack going a little bit too soon, I think, for the top team. FlareStar is going to need to blink his Stalkers way out of here, though, as Ash has already lost all his Zerglings, and now the bottom team is in a huge amount of trouble. This is a giant army pushing down, and it looks like these Banelings may even try and blow up on the Stalkers. Or will they, as FlareStar is shooting and scooting his way back here, and it looks like they may have prematurely tried to grab an expo. As you see, FlareStar has been trying to expand in the bottom left if you check the minimap, but now look at Ash. He does have some roaches, which is exactly what he needs to deal with all these Banelings. So you see a nice drone split going on here from Ash. I'll talk about how to do that in a second, though I can't seem to do it myself very well, and I'm not so sure about this play right here. Mafia, you see where my brain is right now. Matamata going after this expansion. I don't know about this play. FlareStar is probably wisely not and he is going to blink on the other side of these force fields now that the roaches are over here to cover, and it looks like the bottom team is going to be able to trap this army. The top team is in huge trouble now. These Stalkers are trying to get away, and they are going to pick off the one probe that was going to rebuild that base. As I thought that the bottom team got a little ahead of themselves trying to grab that bottom left corner with FlareStar, but he did manage to save it. I think the top team made a bigger mistake by splitting their army right there. But Ash with a nice tech switch to roaches definitely came up big in that in that battle. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, the drone splitting. I've been watching a lot of Protect stream lately, and I've seen that players are starting to do this now. When you're dealing with things like Hellions or Banelings that do lots of splash damage to your workers. And I haven't perfected it yet, but it looks like I'm going to have to wait a second to talk about it again. as now the Zerglings, it looks like, from Crybaby are trying to buy time as much as they can. But the top team looking in serious trouble right now as Matamata has just now finished his Nexus. And so his army size is just way too small to deal with all of these roaches and stalkers. Zerglings from Crybaby have surrounded some stalkers, but finally FlareStar is going to blink those out. And now the top team, it looks like, is completely screwed in this game as probes are getting killed all over the place. This base is going to go down. Roaches are all up in here. And no counterattacks to speak of. A ton of Zerglings have pumped out at the last second from Crybaby. And he does have a few Banelings here, but those really just aren't going to be able to do much against all these armored units. So it looks like that is going to be GG. Very well played from the bottom team. Pretty exciting mirror matchup there. ZP. And a good opportunity for some analysis as I want to get back to this drone splitting thing. Okay, this is what those guys have been telling me how to do it, and I haven't successfully done it yet. But basically, I think F1 will auto-select idle drones. So what you can do is you grab all the drones, and I think you have to hit stop. So, well, yeah, S not exactly working on the replay, but you grab all the drones, you hit stop, and then you hit F, and then you keep hitting F1 and clicking all over the map, like hitting F1 and then right-clicking all around like this. And each time, what it's doing is sending it's sending one of your drones that's idle to that spot. So you can just sort of grab them all, stop, and then F1 all over the place like this, really quick. And so in about 2 seconds, you can have all your drones completely split up, so that they don't take unnecessary splash damage. So just a tip out there for you guys, something that I learned recently, even though I've not mastered it, that's for sure. But anyway, so I guess that is going to do it for me. Thank you, Ash, for sending me this game, and thank you again for making the awesome background on my YouTube channel. And I know I've said it the last couple casts, but a week from Friday, check out the Zeek.com 4v4 tournament. I will be casting it on justin.tv/IrieStarcraft. So you guys should definitely check that out. That is going to do it for me. This is IrieStarcraft, and peace out.